Welcome aboard, everybody. My name is Doobyis. This is After the Smoke is Clear. Special segment I like to call Fly in Formation. There's going to be a bunch more of these from Season 3 of After the Smoke is Clear. The interviews themselves, the audio is going to be tagged onto the end of After the Smoke is Clear episodes. So that's my radio/podcast show that I do once a week, playing independent hip-hop. Focus on artists from north of America. And, just focus on real hip-hop. I like trying to get new artists into new ears, so that's what we do over there. In these interviews, I'm trying to talk to artists, learn a little bit more about local scenes across the country. Bear with me, interviewing is not my forte. I'm an MC by trade, show host secondary, and interviewer as the tertiary skill set there. So appreciate you bearing with me. Appreciate DJ Deadly Nedly for coming to do the interview. And if you haven't, you should check out his album from the summer of 2021 called Northernmost Million. It features artists from across the country, real focus on Albertan talent, a lot of great MCs on there, and a lot of great music in general. So props to DJ Deadly Nedly for doing this. And, without further ado, we're going to abruptly jump cut right to mid-interview because there were some technical difficulties over on stream. This happened on stream at twitch.tv/Doobyis on Tuesday afternoons over there. I hang out, chat with people, talk hip-hop, and put together the new episode of After the Smoke is Clear every week. So if you feel like it, come find me over there on Twitch. Hit that follow button here on YouTube, over on Twitch, wherever else. And I appreciate you. And here we go, DJ Deadly Nedly. It seemed like, to me at least, outside observer or whatever, who's been away from Edmonton for the last few years, you just came right out of nowhere and it was like, boom, here's my album with 20 of the biggest names in Canada on it or whatever, right? Like, so super impressive, man. But
thanks, man. Yeah, so I started out in 2015. There was a group called the Nasty Boys, and they the DJ for that group, he was doing like local shows, and I went to high school with his little brother, and so the DJ had a child, and he like couldn't DJ one night, and I had already had picked up some turntable. I had one turntable, and then I had I was trying to scratch and sample
turntablism. Yeah.
Just trying to make beats and stuff since kind of 2014. So when I finally it came time for the first show, it was self-titled and Apathy from the Army of the Pharaohs clique, and then Mercules.
So and they had you DJ for those acts too? Like, it wasn't just coming for the opening act or what? Oh, yes. Man,
I was wild. They just threw me in, sink or swim. It was a great opportunity. So shout out to DJ Crooked Finger.
What venue was it at?
It was at the Mercury Room at the time.
Okay.
It's sort of near McEwen.
Yeah, I know the place.
Might have had different names over the years. So that was fun. And Brothers Grimm is the person, Comrade was the guy hosting the show, and they performed as well. Yeah. So he honestly took me under his wing, got me a lot of opportunities. I was just working and going to Nate at the time. And so yeah, I would just do any show. I started picking up the gigs, and that's where I rub shoulders with a lot of guys. And then
man, that's so big, shaking hands actually at shows in person with different artists and stuff. That goes so far, reaching out to people that I've never actually met in person, online or whatever. You don't get that same familiarity as you do when you've actually met people at a show and got in or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough time for that, for sure.
Totally.
Something that we're missing out on. So yeah, with the whole like isolation and the COVID pandemic. Like if you fast forward all these years, like, yeah, it's like I was DJing a bunch of hip hop shows. I started like doing like restaurants and clubs and stuff.
Yeah.
Just to like transition into trying to be like full-time DJ. And yeah, like when the pandemic hit, it's like a lot of time isolated.
Yeah. No more live anything. I saw in one other interview that I think I read, I don't know who you were doing it with actually, but I saw an interview you did where you were talking about like how the CERB money kind of helped and you know, having all the free time helped or whatever to put the album together. And dude, like just doing my radio show, I've seen like the output of artistic content over pandemic time was fucking crazy. So like you were saying, while the shows have died down, I feel like the other element where it's kind of even forced people to do more online collaboration and kind of building online community a little bit more, I feel like. So yeah, it's been cool to watch, man, but you know, it leaves us in this weird place where you're not out actually performing the music that you love to make or whatever. And yeah, feels like a hole for sure left in the culture.
Yeah. So we'll see, hopefully going into the next like 5-10 years, you know, we got to cultivate that community.
Hell yeah, man.
So yeah.
So like to put the album together, since it did come together during COVID, I'm guessing you were having guys send verses from all around the country. Eh? Like
I would say like probably 80% of it was recorded like just by the artist sending it in.
Yeah.
So
man, that would be so tough, like mixing and everything.
Yeah, when I was mixing it, I had to like try to do my best. You know, it was definitely a learning experience, and like
hell yeah,
you're
man.
figuring out. I mean, and yeah, the CERB money. So that was another. You could try to offer them some money.
A lot of us got signed to Justin Trudeau records. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I mean, props again on that album. That I was amazed that it came together so well or whatever. And like, was any of it recorded on the same gear even? Or because I mean, I've just been dabbling in mixing and kind of learning the audio engineering aspect of anything. And like, for me, even recording or mixing, different MCs who have recorded on the same mic can be tricky just with different voices and stuff, right? So, like when you have all those different voices plus all those different sets of equipment, man, like that must have been a hell of an undertaking. Have you like been technically trained at engineering, or is it kind of a learning curve as you go type deal?
Yeah, it's been a learning curve. So with the mixing, it's just like I didn't take schooling. I just been trying to work with artists.
Man. Like, well, yeah, you did a good job, dude. It sounds good. And then like, you know, that's the thing with art. So many artists get tied up in not putting stuff out until it's like absolutely like as polished up as it could be or whatever. And to me, man, like I encourage artists just to put stuff out, like and you know, it gets better over the years or whatever, right? Like the next one could be better sound quality or whatever, but the art is still there, right? Like the art is the actual songs. So I don't know. So, to me, sound quality has always been secondary, but I'm not the mass public. I'm just the guy that likes lyrics. You know? Yeah.
Well, because I fixed it and then I got Terry trying to master it. So I was just trying to get it like sounding good for whatever, like iPhones and car systems. So we did what we could, but I know like, I was trying to push it out, and then we just like, you're totally right. So for the next record, learn from this, try to make it sound better.
Yeah, man. But I mean, like, I'm glad that we get to see artists grow like that, right? Like to hear it all. Because to me, the worst song by some of my favorite artists is still going to be something I want to hear more than, you know, good songs by artists I don't like, if that makes sense. Yeah. But I guess speaking of other artists, man, can I ask you a bit about just kind of the local scene in Edmonton there? Because it's not really a scene that gets a ton of attention, kind of internationally or even nationally. But, you know, just from me being part of it, I always felt like there was just an extraordinary amount of talent in the hip hop community, specifically in Edmonton. And, you know, it's been kind of different to step back and, since I moved away, kind of watch it from the outside or whatever. But it still seems like there's a ton of different acts up there putting music out and kind of working to push together almost. Like, seems like a lot of camaraderie up there. What's your take on the scene? What do you think of the Edmonton scene?
Yeah, there's so much talent. Absolutely. I think
and even as far as like venues or radio shows or anything, like, is hip hop alive in Edmonton? Do you feel like it is? And at venues right now, because of COVID, are, you know, all fucked up. But
yeah, like it's hard to test the temperature sometimes. Like I threw a party on Halloween that had like 3 rappers on it. Wally,
I saw posters for that. Yeah.
For the world, Selassie, and then there was 2 bands, Darlin and Chairman. Anyways, that was like, I was trying to like just get all the people from the different scenes to come together there.
Yeah.
Like I feel
CX
like
of the World is from Calgary, isn't he? Calgary-based artist?
Well, he went to high school with me, so.
Oh, okay.
He went to McNally High School.
Oh, maybe I'm tripping. I don't know. I find so many different indie artists, and it's tough to keep them all straight in my mind where they're all from and shit. So, yeah. CX of the World, Edmonton guy. I'll make a mental note.
So it's good to, like, Edmonton is kind of like it's like a rock and roll city, and like a rap town. Like it's got more of like people haven't blown up out of Edmonton, you know, like a lot of people, everyone knows each other for the most part. And then I think there's just so many rappers now that there's no way, like there's got to be at least 1,000 rappers in Edmonton.
Yeah, man. That's the thing. It's so easy to get into, right? Like a lot of people can call themselves rappers. I wonder how many of those thousands like actually have music out or like are actively engaged in making music, I guess. Because to go to a freestyle night and freestyle is one thing, but to actually, I don't know, kind of take on the industry aspect of it a little bit more. And even then, there's still, I could probably count 30, 40, 50 guys in Edmonton.
Yeah, and then it's challenging, and then you're watching all these, you know, some of the cats that came before me, watching how they're doing, and everyone's dealing with the pandemic. So like I'm grateful for the people that you know, collaborated. And then as far as the scene going forward, it's like, yeah, it's crazy, you know, like you have like Garth Brooks, he's selling out Rogers Place like 10 times in a row.
Yeah, dude, I always joked about how like in Alberta, coming out of Edmonton, the best thing that a rapper could do for themselves is get a live band and practice with a live band. Because like they always do well. Anytime you see a rapper who's paired up with a live band or whatever, they get all these big gigs given to them and stuff. Because I agree with you, Edmonton does feel like a rock city in the aspects where it's like there are still a lot of people who seem to think that like if you don't have real instruments, you're not making real music or whatever, right? Like there's still that kind of like resentment toward hip hop almost. It feels like which is always messed with me, man. But are there any artists specifically who locally you want to give a shout out to that might not you know, that you think might not be getting as much attention as they could or whatever? Because that's what I try to do this show for, is just get more listeners in on more good artists, right? So I want to talk to people from the different local scenes and see, hey, you're an artist there, who's actually the artist that the artist like? Because you know, that's the artists I like.
Yeah, I definitely like shout out to you know, Pasties. He put out a project with MKT Beats. I don't know
if it out right now, dude?
It's out. Okay. And you check that one out. It's called Brutiful.
Yeah, and, I should check that out for sure.
They got like some dope songs on there. You know, good rap, good beats. So shout out to those guys. I got to work a bit with them on that, with like mixing, and then yeah, like the artists I had on the show that I mentioned earlier, those guys all deserve a shout out.
Well, obviously everybody on your mixtape there. I mean,
yeah,
like, we could go through names or whatever, but I suggest everybody, if you haven't listened to Northernmost Million, go check it out. Features on there, I wrote a few down: Mercules, Dreeza, Smoke Only, Junk, Kripel, Touch, K-Blizz, K-Riz, Comrade from Brothers Grimm, Kaz Mega, Self, Tariq, Arlo Maverick. Like, it's like a who's who. These guys are on ATSIC every fucking second episode. Somebody on here, right? So when I saw you drop that mixtape, I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to play this whole thing. Like, I didn't actually play it front to back, but I played a large chunk of it on one of the episodes in season 2, just because it was like, well, if any of these dropped as singles, I'd be playing them. So might as well play them all back to back and just, you know, put the spotlight on DJ Deadly Nedly. But
that's maybe. Thank you, man.
Yeah, you know, it's I see guys like you doing stuff like that, and it's pretty rare, man. Like, to put together a mixtape that actually has that much Canadian talent on it, I think it's important. It highlights a scene that kind of gets slept on. If you ask people who's your favorite Canadian rapper, a lot of them are going to tell you Mercules or like Snack the Ripper, right? There's kind of like 3 or 4 who, like, I hear people's toss around, Drezus maybe or whatever, but like, there's really not that many, and just doing this show, it's been a huge eye-opener as to, like, there's hundreds of people who are actively engaged in putting out music, and it's good music, coast to coast. So you know, appreciate you doing your part to push that whole movement and everything, man. Last question I got for you here, dude, is just what's next. I know you've got a project coming up, but if you want to talk a little bit about that or not, keep it under your hat.
No, yeah, I mean, well, I got to keep listening to your show. Like, you like, going back to what you were just saying, like, just finding, there's so many people out there, and like, for me, yeah, next, like, I want to work with more people, connect more people.
Dude, and what you just said there, like, listening to my show to find people, that's fucking exactly why I do this. Like, I don't do this tricking myself into thinking that, like, fans of music need... There's an abundance of music, right? People can go on Spotify, follow their favorite artists, hear their favorite artist stuff. So my idea is just specifically to get new artists into new ears, right? So it all just ties back to that, like, to build relationships with different artists and then have them learn other artists, because there's no secret handshake. In my experience, at least, most artists are willing to work if you reach out to them humbly and, you know, come with whatever their price tag is ready for them. Like, it seems like a lot of guys are willing to work with one another, and, you know, the music I play often is the same 200 artists featuring on each other's tracks from coast to coast, kind of, right? So it's that, and like, even in chat right now, I think my buddy Deezwax, who's a MC, producer, and engineer up in Edmonton there, you know, like, every time I talk to him now, he's working with different artists who I have kind of sent his way or whatever, and so I've had the same conversation with him about, like, well, dude, pay attention to ATSIC and, like, reach out to anybody whose music you like, because, like, I spend fucking 16 hours a week sifting through music, finding the stuff that's, like, you know, that we should all be listening to, and trying to spread it, right? So yeah, it's beautiful to hear you say that, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, dude. So yeah, I'm working on, like, some collaboration projects. We got the Ill Creekers, which is sort of a a group project between Pasties and I, and then we're gonna have some other people that have lived in the area or connect with the area to feature on it. And then basically, if you don't know what Mill Creek is, it's like the ravine in Edmonton that's just off White Avenue. It's really beautiful, and if you ever come to Edmonton, check it out. And then it's going to be mostly a boom bap project. So
is it going to be like a full-length project, or
probably like 6 songs, I think.
Okay, cool.
So it's going to be like a little EP. And then I got another little EP with my other friend, Big Dog Lex. And that doesn't have a title yet. It's more like a West Coast sound. So nice. With those two, like just working with single MCs to like produce something.
I think that's the wave, man. I've really been digging that trend of MCs and producers working together for an entire project or whatever. I think that's a good look for you, to link up with different MCs and do that for sure. And also, just if people are watching on stream, the one song that I've been working on stream sometimes, like I'll just go live on this Twitch to work on my own music, and it's actually a verse for that Pasties album that he was just talking about. So I used to live close to that Mill Creek ravine as well. So when I moved up, I lived in an old army barracks house on 72nd Ave, close to White Ave there. And like, it had been moved in off the base when they built new ones out there. So just like the shittiest old A-frame you can think of. I moved into it with some other guys when we were like 19 or whatever, 18, fresh out of high school and shit. And as soon as we moved out, they ripped it down. So now there's like a big, nice new mansion there where the place that I used to live in was.
Classic.
Yeah, the classic.
Yeah.
Gentrification.
Yeah, I grew up like on like the other side of White Ave on like 85th Avenue, but Paulie Pasties, he was more of a Richie cat like yourself. So
yeah, I gotta check out his project too. I didn't realize he had stuff out. I just had looked at his Instagram account and whatever.
Yeah,
I didn't dig too deep, but yeah, dude, thanks again for stopping by and shit. Unless there's anything else you want to shout out or plug or anything. Oh, one question I did want to ask too. Where are you most active on social media if people want to follow you on social media?
Oh, yeah. Mostly on Instagram, DJ Deadly Nedly. Yeah. So thanks so much, Doobie, and looking forward to connecting with you more.
Right on, man. Salute. Come by chat anytime. I'm trying to just build this into a community where, you know, people come by and get in chat and talk about the songs we're listening to and whatever. So feel free to stop by anytime. Most afternoons I'm here. But thanks, man.
Thank you, man.
Peace.
Peace.